Lateralus, a fable by Rob Harper.
There once was a sleepy hamlet called Ophelia. It was deep in the rustic countryside of a far-off land and would normally be a village, but the townsfolk had refused to change the designation so not to screw up the allusion to the bard's famous play. Ophelia was a quiet place with quiet people. They all went about their quiet business happily, day in and day out. That is not to say the town didn't have its dark side. No, not at all. The town did have a notorious underground cabbage smuggling ring, which had eluded the local constabulary on many occasions, and it did have a horrible, vile witch. We'll get back to her in a second. Just as a disclaimer, we call this witch horrible and vile, not because she is a witch. Oh no, gentle reader, that is both sexist and close-minded. There were plenty of wise and kind witches practicing their magic for good and light. Lateralus, for instance, healed the sick and helped in childbirth. No one would call her vile and horrible just because she practiced an unorthodox religion which tended to worship nature and other spirits. This witch was vile and horrible, not due to her witchiness, but rather her piss-poor demeanor. She was always a vile and horrible person even before she became a witch. The job doesn't make the person makes the job, and in witchery, this is thrice true. Anyway, this vile and horrible witch was named Gertrude, and she hated living in the hamlet because of it. From an early age, she was teased, "Ha ha, you're Hamlet's mom," and "Ha ha, you were played adequately in the film adaptation by Glenn Close." Maybe these jabs weren't enough to turn the young and impressionable Gertrude into a vile and horrible person, then a vile and horrible witch, but I'm sure they stung nonetheless. Okay, enough preamble. Let's meet Gertrude as she has a very poor day in her modest cabin on the edge of the hamlet, just within the dark forest.
I hate this town. £2.50 for eye of new. Ridiculous! I could get it for half the price of Amazon.
What? Enough of your flipping. You'd have to pay for exchange and shipping. What?
Shut up, Raven, or I'll turn you into an ugly dove.
What? Beelzebub would love to be a dove. Doves never get a kickin' and taste like chicken. What?
Gertrude pretended to hate her trusted raven familiar, Beelzebub, but in truth, he was her only friend. She stirred her cauldron and pouted. She had bought the Eye of Newt even at the economically corrupt prices because she needed it for her newest spell. The reality was that Gertrude was excited. You never could tell it by her demeanor, but she was. Today was the day she finally destroyed that damned hamlet and everything in it in her dark overlord, Maynard Jacanan's name.
Why so cheery, you vile and horrible dearie?
Why, you mangy flying rat? Why, you ask? Today is the day I finally rid myself of those horrible people in the hamlet with their horrible Shakespeare puns. Ugh, I hate literary humor. One last ingredient and I'll be all set.
So what do you need to make the town bleed?
All I need are a couple of small, disgusting, smelly rat-like things known as children. Ha 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 ha.
Finding children is poorest out here is the dark forest.
Nonsense. Kids wander out here all the time. My cousin had some try to eat her house once. Can you believe that? They'll come. You'll see.
Just then there was a knock on the door. Gertrude hated visitors more than she hated literary puns. She ignored it. Maybe they'd go away. The knock happened again, harder.
Could those dolts in the hamlet found me out? I'm so close. I can't feel now. What a cruel world. What a cruel world.
No need to pout. I'll just go look out.
Beelzebub flew to the small window above the door and peeked out. He turned back to Gertrude and looked stunned. Or as stunned as a raven can look.
What? What do you see, bird?
I don't believe it. You're literally going to
Enough rhyming, bird. Just tell me.
There are children at your front door, but what would they be here for, right?
The door bangs again, and a small voice could be heard faintly.
Open up. We can hear you talking to your bird.
Yeah, open up.
Gertrude was taken aback, but if her dark lord, Menorgekainen, had provided her with her final ingredient, who was she to complain?
1 second!
Gertrude tried to sound inviting as she scurried around, setting a trap for the little beggars. She looked up into her dark rafters and drew an X on the floor with chalk.
Coming!
Gertrude flung open her front door and looked upon 2 of the cutest little children she had ever seen. She resisted the urge to throw up. The 2 children, a boy and a slightly older girl, looked up at the old crone of a vile and horrible witch. There was a pause as they all looked at each other. Finally, the girl spoke up.
I'm Kiara, and he's Luke. Do you want to buy some Girl Guide cookies? They're real yummy.
The only thing Gertrude hated more than literary puns and visitors was cookies, Girl Guide or otherwise. Her dark lord must be testing her. That must be it.
Come in. I'd like some cookies.
The 2 children strode confidently in like they didn't have a care in the world.
Nice place you have here. Kiara, Mommy said not to lie.
Ha, so funny, children. Now just stand there while I go pull this lever. Get my money. Not there, over there.
Gertrude made sure the children were standing on the X.
On this X on the floor?
Yes, there. Perfect.
The witch rushed over and pulled the lever she mentioned before, and a cage fell from the rafters, capturing the 2 children. They were trapped.
Why'd you do that?
Ha. I did that, children, so I can use you in my spell. You're mine now.
A spell like in magic? Cool.
Yes, like in magic, and you won't find it cool when I destroy you and the hamlet from whence you came.
That seems mean. Very mean.
It is mean. I'm a vile and horrible witch. That's what I do.
So you're just gonna say some words and poof?
Basically. I just say the words. Never mind, let me show you.
Gertrude stands triumphantly in front of her cauldron. Her arms stretched out, she starts to recite these words.
Black and white are all I see in my infancy. Red and yellow then came to be, reaching out to me. Let me see. There is so much more and beckons me to look through to those infinite possibilities. As below, so above and beyond, I imagine drawn outside the lines of
Which lady?
reason. Push the envelope, watch it bend. Overthinking, overanalyzing separates.
Which lady?
What?
What you doing?
I told you I'm casting a spell. Now don't interrupt.
Gertrude tries to get back into the mood and continues on. Children, she thinks. She'll be glad to be rid of them.
Overthinking, overanalyzing separates the body from the mind, withering my intuition, leaving all these opportunities behind. Feed my will to feed this moment, urging me to cross the line. Reaching out to embrace the random, reaching out to...
If you're casting a spell, why do you have to do all that chanting?
Gertrude stops the spell, a little stunned.
That is the spell, the chanting. 'Tis so simple. Why? Why ask?
Can't you just say abracadabra or something?
No, you can't. You have to chant to convince yourself the spell is going to work. That's how magic works. Now hush now.
So you're tricking yourself?
Well, sort of. You have to believe.
So if I say abracadabra and believe enough, I can make anything happen?
What? She has a point, you know. You just have to believe to make it go. Brock.
Shut up, bird. Now get out of here before I cook you.
Beelzebub flew out of the open window and brought back at his witch friend.
Brock? Gertrude, I hate to burst your bubble, but dearie, you in trouble. Brock?
Stupid bird. Now, girl, I guess you're right. I mean, it's not that simple.
Abracadabra!
Gertrude is about to laugh at the foolish child, but stops when she sees the cage she dropped on the rats disappear.
But how?
Cool, let me try. Abracadabra.
What? You didn't even say a rat.
And with that, Gertrude, the vile and horrible witch, was never seen again. Kiara and Luke, on the other hand, did have an amazing and wonderful life full of tales and delight. But those are stories for another time. The end.
Can we eat the rest of the cookies now?